Dodge this.
Howard is asked, the question, is it safe? Expediency asks, the question, is it politic? Vanity asks, the question, is it popular? But conscience asks, the question, is it right? And there comes a time when one must take a position that is neither safe, nor politic, nor popular, but he must do it because conscience tells him it is right.
Every time our country stands in the path of danger, an instinct seems to summon her finest first, those who truly understand her. When freedom shivers in the cold shadow of true peril, it's always the patriots who first hear the call. When loss of liberty is looming, as it is now, the siren sounds first in the hearts of freedom's vanguard.
Fighting for humanity and against globalism, one mind at a time. It's the Freedom Link with Joe Joseph.
Welcome, everybody, to this edition of the Freedom Link. This 18th day of March, 2015. I'm Joe Joseph. Pardon me for the hoarseness tonight. I was eventually, first I was contemplating doing a rebroadcast. And then someone, no names, had to post a Crisis International Space Station video on their Facebook channel, our Facebook page. Kev, who could that have been?
Well, do you know what it was? You know how I kind of coined that phrase, crisis ISIS?
Oh, yeah.
I actually misspelt it on YouTube, and I came up with crisis ISS. No, I'm just joking. But yeah, seemingly, folks, can I even say this without falling off the chair and bursting into flames?
Do something. Salvage your credibility, man.
You've heard of the International Space Station.
Of course.
Well, there's
I've
people
seen it on a telescope.
Exactly. I've seen it down at Bilderberg. I've seen it when I was up in the Highlands. I've seen it numerous times, but now, in fact, I'm not even going to joke about this because I am getting lumped in with this crew. There's people out there saying that this is all a hoax, Joe. It's a crisis ISS.
Oh, God, have mercy. Of course, Marty's joining us too. Johnny King, he's going to be coming around in hour number 2, so make sure you stay tuned for that. So the whole purpose of me going live tonight, at least for the first part, is to break down the breakdown of humanity, specifically the cranial region. Because what is the problem with people when, okay, it's the Truman Show. Yeah, that's what it is. It's a projection. Really? Is that what it is? When the space shuttle was flying around in the 80s, right? Up in the sky, we could go ahead and track it with a telescope as well. The X-37B. Do we remember that? Yes.
Yeah. Not to mention that, Joe, but amateur radio too. If you actually check when the ISS is coming over where you live, you can actually communicate with them up there. So is that a hoax? I don't think so.
Okay, listen, can I just start this off by asking the audience and you guys here on the show just why people were so confused by what I said. Now, I'd actually put on here, this is exactly why sometimes I feel like crawling away and going back to sleep. So this week, the ISS is fake. Who knows what it was we were watching when it traversed over our heads in the sky. Now, there's plenty examples of fake stories out there, but this has to be on a par with when Goldbug at the height of his breakdown. Hold on, is this even real Faceborg? I'm out of here. Now, I had to say that out loud because I'm hoping that there's an intelligence level on TFR. I'm not hoping, I know. You'll have gauged my sarcasm in that, And you can tell I wasn't exactly making a case, Marty, for this being a true story. And I didn't really go back and pay much attention to the comments, but Joe tells me that I'm taking some kind of grief in there, almost been lumped in with that crowd. Did that make total sense to you, Marty, my status update, or was there anything too ambiguous in there?
No, it made sense to me, Kev, but I could see some of the points to this video. I did actually browse through some of it, and you could agree that some of the footage, maybe from the ISS inside that we've seen and some of the operations, could have been staged just like the first moon hoax landing, in my honest opinion. So you could put a bit of fact and fiction in there, but to say that this thing doesn't exist at all and the Earth's flat is,
I mean, what the hell is going on with people? I don't know. It's one thing to question things, and we should all question things. But this is what asshats like this jabroni head that posted this video does. See the BBC over there that's getting ready to do a hit piece on the independent media? This is the kind of shit they highlight. This. Oh, yes, the ISS is fake. The world is flat. I mean, what the hell? And then you wonder why we get lambasted. You lose all sorts of credibility when you start talking about stuff like that. When all you have to do is go to Walmart. You don't even have to get one of those high-powered telescopes. You just go ahead and get one of those little $40 telescopes you get your 5-year-old, right? Then you go to the NASA website. Everybody's, oh, it's NASA. Why I can't do that? Well, look, they tell you where the International Space Station's going to be at a certain period of time, and you can go look. And then people will say, oh, no, well, it's because it's the Truman Show. That's what it is. It's a fake canopy.
It's a hologram, Joe.
God have mercy. I mean, people may not remember Space Lab back in the 70s and the 80s. Or even the Russian space station, the Mir, prior, in the 80s and the 90s. You could see those from space, too, from the ground with a telescope. As a matter of fact, everybody watched the Mir burn up over the Earth as it fell into the atmosphere. As a matter of fact, I'm sure that if you take a look, people might even have piece parts of the burnt up space station and or satellites that fall out of the sky. But God forbid that we use our melons for just a second, just a split second, and think about what we're saying before we say it. And some of these people do a huge discredit to everybody out there that's trying to fight the disinformation, because there's enough disinformation already out there in the mainstream media that we shouldn't have to deal with it in the independent media. Yet we do, Kev.
And this is the thing, and right now, people like myself, Marty, UK Column, anyone that's in the independent media or alternative media in the UK, we've got a big target painted on our backs right now by the mainstream. Joe covered this last night. The BBC, as you so brilliantly put it, Joe, the bearded lady of the mainstream media, they're actually trying to come after people like us for daring to expose the criminal rapists that they dare to employ. And yet, how easy is it for them to discredit us in a total one-shot go when there's stories like this going about? We're making it easy for them. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Easy. It's very easy. Now, look, it doesn't even have to do with TFR or anything with TFR. The fact that this guy goes and makes just an absolute idiotic video like this, and then, it gets, I can't remember it. It's got a decent amount of views. All they have to do is put what we say and then put this chuck wagon after us, and we're guilty by association, even though we have nothing to do with this guy. So
that's exactly what they'll do. Exactly.
Oh, I know. I mean, we've seen it a million times before, Marty. I mean, this is nothing new. So why? For the love of God, why? And then this is what I see, okay? I'm going to see, I'm just going to peruse some of these comments here. One of them, after watching all of this guy's videos, it's something I take seriously now. What? Are you seriously going to say you take it serious? I mean, think about this for just a second. Now he states a fact. He says, I mean, we live in a world run by liars. Absolutely. But does that give us warrant to go off the deep end like this? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And can we discuss this stuff in an open forum? Absolutely. But let's not waste so much time on this garbage.
The problem I have with it, guys, is when people are first waking up and realizing that everything they've been told's a lie and all this deception out there, and then they see videos like that, it must be true because he's a sincere guy, he's trying to get the truth out, so everything he says, they take as gospel, and that's the sad thing about it. There'll be so many guys that are just awakening and buying into this, and then probably realize that it's crap, and then think, oh, those crazy tinfoil hatters, and then just don't even bother with any of the information because they've been had already.
Yeah. Now, Kev, there's another guy there that says, notable heliocentrist experiments that failed to detect any movement of the Earth around the sun. I mean, this is ludicrous. It's nuts.
I've got there's another way of looking at this as well, and I think we could probably go back to when Dallas Goldbug first came out. Now, everyone's heard of me making fun of Dallas Goldbug and how he gives you quick 2-second shots of people's ears and says they're all from the one family. Well, the thing is, when he first came on the scene, there was a lot of his work that really was quite good. And it gained an absolute massive following very, very quickly. Now, I can't really think of any occasions before Dallas Goldbug and this whole fake people thing that there was many people talking about crisis actors or fake events or anything like that. Could it be that they seen how people were so invested in stuff like that when they watch People Joe, they watch YouTube channels?
Sure they do.
They must have seen the traffic that the likes of Well Aware One, Dallas Goldbug was getting. Could they have seized upon that and thought, this is going to be a really great way for us to make all of them look stupid?
Could very well be.
Because if you look at some of the later Dallas Goldbug stuff, it was just getting ridiculous. It really was. And then I can't really remember ever coming across talk of crisis actors before all of that. It's all in the ears talk. Do you?
Oh, right. No, you're right. I do believe that to some extent, you're right. They do notice trends. They can see what's trending and what's not. Look, social media is a tool. It's a tool. You can learn a lot from people just by observing what they write in these forums. I mean, it's amazing. But to see somebody put a video up and give this credibility, satellites are a hoax. Satellites are a hoax. Now, I'm going to give you an example of how stupid that sentence is. Satellites are a hoax.
Joe, do we really want to go here? We're two ex-military guys that worked in telecoms.
That's okay. Now you know where I'm going.
Exactly.
Okay. So, two ex-military guys, right? What this guy's trying to say is that I've never seen a satellite myself, so it doesn't exist. All right. In the military, we have different modes of communication. You sometimes have VHF. VHF is a line of sight communication system. It's not anything but. Then you have UHF, ultra high frequency. Now that could be one of two things. It could be a line of sight, and we also use it for something called SATCOM or satellite communication. Specifically, DAMAnet. Demand access multiple, whatever it is. I can't remember what it stands for. Now, in order for me to establish a link on a radio, you have to be able to point that antenna to the satellite in the sky. Now, unless there's something there, up there, ain't going to happen. And the level of elevation of your antenna is based on where you are on the globe. Okay, so it's up there. Why do people need, and this is, let me give you this. He says, prove it. Show me a picture. Oh, because they couldn't doctor pictures now, could they? He says, I've been at this for weeks and still no photo in our phones. Our phone uses cell phone towers and satellites, just like the internet and cables under the sea. Absolutely. Yes, cell phones use cell phone towers. And the internet does use cables under the sea. But that doesn't do away with satellites in the sky. You might also remember, a while back, a space plane called the X-37B. Now, that X-37B just so happened to be a very, very small, scaled-down version of the space shuttle. Right? For the most part. And that thing stayed up in the sky for, I think, at least 6 months, guys, if not longer.
Yeah, the flying Twinkie, as Freeman calls it, at least 6 months, and nobody knows what it was doing.
Okay, but, people were tracking it for the longest time. Amateur astronomers, armchair astronomers with their telescopes in their backyard were tracking the X-37B and plotting its locations when they saw it. So, how the hell did they do that? And how did they know it was the X-37B unless they could see it in their satellite? And like Marty said, not only can you see the International Space Station, but if you're an amateur radio guy, sometimes you can even talk to them. And then you might say, well, how could you do that? Yeah. Look, this is not rocket science. This is stuff that Galileo figured out. Oh, how long ago was that, Kev? 1400s?
Back in the day, Joe.
Way back in the day. Okay? Why are we putting up with this rubbish? And it's rubbish.
It is. This debate's raged on throughout the centuries. I just don't stand out an end to it already.
I don't think Blue Beam existed in Galileo's time. Could have been. I don't know. But I'm just thinking that perhaps things were a little more archaic back then. I don't know. Call me crazy. So when I see things like this, it doesn't really bode well for humanity because we're supposed to be the watchmen on the wall. We're the ones that are supposed to be trying to expose the tomfoolery of the asshats that are trying to take over the world. And I've done a pretty good job thus far. So why is it that people are not using the critical thinking skills and ruling out such, I don't know. I don't know what the hell to tell you. I don't have a word to describe it, guys. And it's just,
this is going to be another topic that we should really probably bring back up on the hanger, Joe, so that we can discuss it with our full fervor.
But, I guess I'm not the only one feeling this way. I mean, you voiced your frustration at it, and rightfully so.
But you see, here's the thing, because I've been caught out in the past, and I suppose I'm a bit of a hypocrite posting that today in the manner that I did. And it was our boss man, Mr. Chris Geo. It was during the time of the Woolwich beheading. Now, anyone that listened to me back then, I was adamant that everything went down the way that they told us it did. And in fact, I even took a few of the fake brigade, as I so absolutely horribly called them at the time, ad hominemly attacking them for having their own opinions. Well wrong of me, but I've moved on from then. And Joe, over time, speaking to different researchers, in particular Ola Damagard and Chris, I've totally changed my opinion on what happened that day, and that's when I realised that a lot of this stuff is fake. But that doesn't mean that everything's fake. And we're all going to pay the price for this kind of stuff, guys, each and every one of us.
Well, Michael Snyder chimed in from the Economics Collapse blog, one of my good buddies. Now, he wrote it in the context of America. And he wrote it's official. Americans are stupid. And I guess we're not the only ones with the frustration right now. And I want to read briefly some of the stuff that he wrote about this. He says, as Americans, we tend to be pretty full of ourselves, and this is especially true of our young people. But do we really have reason for such pride? According to a shocking new report from the Educational Testing Service, Americans between the ages of 20 and 34 are way behind young adults in other industrialized nations when it comes to literacy, mathematics, and technological proficiency. Even though more Americans than ever are going to college, we continue to fall farther and farther behind intellectually. So what does this say about us? Sadly, the truth is that Americans are stupid. Our education system is an abysmal failure. Absolutely. I agree with that 110%. And our young people spend more of their free time staring at the television, their computers, or their mobile devices. And until we are honest with ourselves about this, our intellectual decline is going to get even worse. Now, according to a new report from the Educational Testing Service, at this point, American millennials that have a 4-year college degree are essentially on the same intellectual levels as young adults in Japan, Finland, and the Netherlands that only have a high school degree. Now, how in the world is that possible? Just out of curiosity. You know how that's possible, guys? Because our schools over here are a joke. I don't know how they are in the UK, but over here, whether it be your public schools or academia, your secondary, your colleges, they're a joke.
It's just government indoctrination centres. They just hammer propaganda into the kids. The kids who are best at repeating it, they get rewarded by getting places in a university that'll land them in 5 figures of debt before they even get a job. Yeah, the education system really works well over here. And I was reading something that said, it beggars belief. It said that the IQ of people right now on the planet is at its highest it's ever been. I tend to think that they probably have lowered the standard of the tests.
Now, Han Solo in the chat room put out, fluoridation. Absolutely. Does that have something to do with it? Yeah.
No, Joe, I don't believe that, because I think Hitler was giving that to the people in the concentration camps to keep them right on the ball.
That's right. Yeah, it kept their work level up. Yeah. It kept their teeth clean. That's what it did. Because that's what he cared about, right? I mean, it's unbelievable. This is not rocket science. And Star of the Oracle, no child left behind. Yeah, what an abysmal failure, But let me also say, yeah, there is no child left behind. They're trying to get everybody on the same short bus. And they're doing it. They're doing it. They're making it harder and harder to be able to, say, send your kid to private school if you wanted to. And or they're making it more arduous and these restrictions on homeschooling. And they're trying to funnel everybody into the public indoctrination centers. And then, because they want to control you as soon as they possibly can, what do? Just like Kev said, they encumber you with a tremendous amount of debt. Tremendous. So that right off the bat, you're a slave to the federal government. Why do I say the federal government here in the United States? Because student loans were federalized under President Obama. Used to be the banks. Now it's the government. Just one more reason to love that government god. Yes, I'll give you all the money you want. to go enjoy that time. Enjoy that time in college. Go ahead. Party hardy. So when you get out and you're a greeter at Walmart, you won't be able to pay your college loans. Go ahead, Marty.
Yeah, absolutely. The Chancellor here in the UK, George Osborne, has been out with his budget today, and he's promised loans of up to £25,000 for PhD students. Again, raising the bar. And you're right, Joe. It's getting to the point now where people can't even afford an education. It's absolutely ridiculous. They talk about an open and free society and giving everyone a chance. And sadly, I'm not seeing that. The price of college courses and enlistments into university in this country is absolutely scandalous. And I think it's part of the class wars and the division, what we're seeing now.
Oh, I mean, and people, on this, I got to go back to this because somebody just replied on this ISS hoax. I had to throw something on that YouTube video. I couldn't help it. And I just got, this is the response that I got to what I wrote.
Should have a drum roll for this or some clown music.
It hologram, Project Bluebeam, enjoy. So what does that say then about Mir? What did that say about Space Lab?
Well, Mir must have been Projectsky and Bluebeamsky.
Oh, Bluebeamsky, yes. Yeah.
Putin done it.
I can't believe it, man. We'll get more into why I'm losing faith in humanity on the other side of the break. Good God Almighty. We'll be right back. More of the Freedom Link in 3 minutes. Don't go away. Joe Joseph here. Actually, this is Crisis Joe. The Macho Man Randy Savage. Yeah, he came in and he's sitting in for Joe. He's Crisis Joe tonight. Come on.
Taking a chance rolling out the crisis. You're taking a chance rolling out the Crisis Joe in the middle of the week, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, hell, they can roll out a Crisis International Space Station, so I think Crisis Joe's not that far of a stretch. Jesus, have mercy on us all. Out of 22 countries, getting back to how stupid Americans are, out of 22 countries, according to the Educational Testing Service, America ranked dead last in technical proficiency and was second to last in literacy. I mean, the land of the free, the home of the brave. Hey, you hear all these stupid politicians talking about, oh yeah, well, I care about the education of our young. Well, if you did, why are we pumping billions and billions and billions of dollars into this broken crap system? I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, you guys do the same thing over there, but I mean, at least you have something to show for it. I don't know. How is it, seriously, in the UK, I got to know. Is it as bad as it is over here?
No, I don't think so, Joe. I really don't. We aren't at the level of teaching 2 + 2.
No Child Left Behind? Do you have that?
No.
Okay, good.
But then again, there's probably some other Orwellian name that we've got for it. Remember, we're in the country, and Marty will back me up on this one, especially Scotland. We're trying to pilot that absolutely brilliant scheme where they're going to assign a government guardian to every child that is born up until their 18th year of life. And that means that basically they can shadow that child anywhere. And of course, it's all to look after the kids. It's not to come snooping around your home and then take them for the child snatchers, is it, Marty?
Ooh, I am a little bit worried about that sort of stuff, to be honest. Something that really gets me going. But as you're talking, Joe, about the education levels and stuff and the rankings, do you know that ranked globally, according to the Learning Curve, alleged official statistics, you've got Israel at rank 17, United States rank 14, United Kingdom rank 6, and then the top 5 Finland, 4 Hong Kong, 3 Singapore, Japan 2, and in number 1 South Korea. But
I buy that, Marty. I think I would seriously buy that. I don't know. That doesn't seem too far of a stretch, buddy.
Yeah, but the thing is, with a lot of these rankings and stuff like that, they can be flawed because, as they have done in the UK, they just lower the standard. And then more people are passing. It looks like more people are doing great. They've just lowered the bar, so to speak.
Well, they have done that. There's no doubt about it. As a matter of fact, I think I saw something earlier in the week about how there's a rash of suicides at college now, because people are actually forced, these kids are actually forced to do at least a little bit of work. And it's not happening. And they're getting all stressed out because instead of playing, what the hell, some of those video games out there now, what is it?
Call of Duty, FIFA.
Yeah, that stuff.
GTA.
Yeah, instead of that, oh God, I can't play my video games. I got to write a paper. Kapow. They blow their brains out. It's unbelievable. I mean, listen to this. This is what really blows my mind. After 2 years in college, 45% of students showed no significant gains in learning. After 4 years, 36% showed little change. Here's another one. Students also spend 50% less time studying compared to with students a few decades ago. 35% of students report spending 5 or fewer hours per week studying alone. Another stat, 50% said they never took a class in a typical semester where they wrote more than 20 pages. And here's another one, 32% never took a course in a typical semester where they read more than 40 pages per week. Now, I have my degree, and I'm halfway through a master's. And I got to tell you, in those, 5 years or so, I probably wrote between 1,000 and 1,500 pages, at least. I mean, it's crazy. So I can't believe that. I mean, it's just, it blows my mind. But then you look at elementary schools here in the United States. Now, what's happened with No Child Left Behind is they've tied federal funding to test scores. Now, this is a problem. And let me tell you why. Because what that does is now the teachers are teaching to the test. So now you're not even giving the children what they need to know to be responsible adults. Instead, they're being taught these tests. Now, they'll teach the test, and then they send home like 4 and 5 hours of homework a night, and then it's on the parent to go ahead and get the kid through that. Let me tell you, that was an unbelievable chore. But you know what you learn? You learn that you have all of the ability to homeschool your child because you're doing it anyway. Because they're not learning anything in the public school system, at least here in the United States. So how or why any responsible adult goes and sends their kids to public school outside of the, I have a job and I got to put food on the table, because that's the other way they get you too, is they make the economy so freaking horrible that both mom and dad have to work crappy jobs just to scrape by so that your children then become a ward of the state. Kev.
Just listening to all of this, and it was the other night we were talking about the famous Rothschild quote, and he was on about how he cares not who writes the laws of a nation, so long as he's printing the money, yeah? I bet you right up there along with that kind of thing is they probably care not who is writing the laws when they're writing the education system. Because what are you getting at the end of this production line? You're getting, without sounding cruel, people are dumbed down. Like Joe says there, they're taught to answer tests. They're taught to repeat things. Very rarely will they be showing actually how you get to that answer, just so long as you can get there. And what is that producing at the end of it? It's producing very controllable and very dependent people. Again, it just all ties into this controls thing. If you can get them at that age, Marty, game over.
Absolutely. Like you said, this whole education system is really just breeding generations of mind control robots. And I don't mean that in any disrespect to anybody that's studying or has studied and had success from it. I just mean some of the most asleep people in the world are also some of the most intelligent. And it's just something that I can't work out until I break down the whole education system. But if we talk about the whole medical education system and how we know that there's other cures out there for certain diseases and there's that would really benefit humanity that is just suppressed, and you try and approach some of these doctors about it and you get the harsh reaction, it all becomes clear. And I just think it's a biased system.
Well, on that kind of note as well, you've got people with PhDs who are struggling to get a job in KFC and McDonald's right now. And how many times have you come across people you would consider absolute geniuses and boffins, do you know what I mean, that are working in these jobs? It means nothing getting these bits of paper, folks. So why shackle yourselves with all this debt?
It's not worth it these days. It used to be worth it. It's not worth it anymore. And let me tell you why, okay? Now, I didn't believe this until I saw it myself, and Michael pointed these out in his article, Michael Snyder, the Economic Collapse blog. But these are some actual courses that have been taught at U.S. University in recent years, okay, guys? Now, first of all, do you have any sharp objects, firearms, and claw hammers? Have you put them all away?
Don't worry, because we'll have a list to counter yours. I know the kind of shit that's going on.
All right, ready for this? These are classes that have been taught in recent years at U.S. universities. What if Harry Potter is real? And then, okay, right there, let's just stop there for a second.
Crickets.
A class entitled, What if Harry Potter is real? Now, let's go back to the ISS, the Crisis International Space Station video that guy put out. I'll bet you he went to that class. What if Harry Potter is real? Are you kidding me? How about this one? Here, guys, ready? Lady Gaga and the Sociology of Fame. I know. The silence is killing me.
Can I counter that and raise you by one?
Go ahead.
Ghostbuster studies.
Oh, God. Really?
Yep, and that is taught. That's actually taught at the... Well, it's taught by a lecturer called Tony Lawrence, and it was set up at the Psychology of Exceptional Human Experiences courses, Coventry University, UK.
Oh, my. Oh, so you guys, too. Here's another one. Ready? Philosophy and Star Trek.
Yeah, we've got Star Trek, man. We can see you on that one.
Oh, how about this one? Learning from YouTube. Now...
Damn, where'd I sign up?
Oh, yeah, well, let me tell you something. You can learn a lot from YouTube. MIT puts actual college courses on YouTube for you to, actually watch. You can learn. All the Ivy League schools put courseware on there. So you actually can learn from YouTube. But if it takes you to go to a university to figure out how to learn from YouTube, I have absolutely no faith in humanity.
But how cool would it be if you could turn up for a job interview, sit there and say that you've got a PhD in the Force? That's right, you can study Jedi.
I would say, I would say put the drill and the drill bit away, because it is going to find my temple really soon. And I'm just going to call it a day.
But Joe, what about that 1 in 7 billion chance that you're the employer sitting there? Are you going to take the risk that this lunatic might pull out a lightsaber and take your head off?
Oh, I'll take my chances.
Every good workplace needs a Jedi, man. Come on, stop being Jediist.
Okay, I got two more, and these are good. How about this one? How to watch television. That's right. You're encumbering yourself with years and years of debt for a class called How to Watch Television. Ah, now that's enriching right there. But wait, my personal favorite, a class called Oh, Look, a Chicken. Oh, look, a chicken.
You know,
this is a national crisis.
If you actually pass that, you have to pass that before you get into the additional course, which has a bachelor's of and PhDs attached of which came first, the chicken or the egg.
If my son was going to university right now, and I advised against it, and he's actually going the trade route right now, which is, thank God in heaven he actually listens to his old man. But if I was paying, or my son, I knew that he was getting student loans, and he was taking courses like, what if Harry Potter is real? Or, oh, look, a chicken. I don't know what I would do. I think I would fear not only for his safety, but for mine. Because how can you go and write these huge tuition checks and then believe at the same time that the kids are being prepared for the real world? Because they're not. I mean, this is unbelievable. And then you go and take a look at some of, like, say, these 8th grade tests from the turn of the 20th century, right? This is the 8th grade. Here's some spelling words. Exaggerate, incentive, conscious, pennyweight, chandelier, patient, potential, creature, participate, authentic, bequeath. Who the hell uses bequeath anymore? What a great word.
It would behoove you to start using it, young man.
Yes, I bequeath you the knowledge. Oh, this is crazy. I mean, you could ask your average 8th grader today to spell bequeath. Better yet, ask them, what does it mean? They'll be like, bequeath. Oh, that sounds like a word for something that you'd say on Hangar 18, but I ain't going to say it. I mean, it's unbelievable. You know, as far as like arithmetic, grammar, geography, physiology, people in 1912, Marty, knew more about what, basic life skills and everything else than people would, even hope to gain today in school. I mean, don't you think?
Yeah, damn right. Damn right. I don't know whether part of the problem is that people just don't use critical thinking anymore. They're just too quick to Google the answer for that test, or, the access to information is just the click of a button. And sometimes that kind of takes away from actually going out and learning things about the world and cultures. And yeah, but talking of ridiculous courses and how there's just no need for some of this stuff, the Swarthmore College in Pennsylvania is actually doing a course for integrating gender, centuries of dramatic cross-dressing. And it says, are we really all always in drag? Does gender bending lead to transcendence or chaos? These questions will be answered in this course. It's just, really? Is this the level that we've got to, that this stuff is just the normal and we're giving kids degrees in this stuff?
I mean, it's unbelievable. And it's permeating every facet of our life. And you say, well, where else could it be permeating? When the Associated Press comes out with an article entitled, Coke, a good snack? Health experts who work with Coke say so. Coca-Cola. That's right.
And they won't be biased since they work with Coke anyway.
No. You know what it reminds me of, guys? Remember the, like some of the cigarette ads from the 20s and the 30s? Like 96,000 doctors say the toasted tobacco in Lucky's is better for your throat and easier on your throat. Doctors recommend Lucky Strike. Yeah, but okay. I mean, granted, I understand that people didn't know as much about the dangers of tobacco back then as they do now, but they knew enough, to know, oh, by the way, this probably isn't good for you. Grandpa smoked 50 years and he can't breathe. Probably due to the smoking for 50 years. Right, Marty?
Right, yeah. I think these experts need to actually lay off the lines of coke because, as Han Solo says in the chat, and I completely agree with him, that coke is fantastic for cleaning the toilet. And even if you've got jewelry or anything like that, you put it in a glass of coke, watch what happens to it. And what's that doing to our insides? But yeah, it's good for us now.
Oh yeah, it's a good snack. That's right. Let me. Coca-Cola is working with fitness and nutrition experts who suggested soda as a treat at a time when the world's biggest beverage maker is being blamed for helping to fuel obesity rates, on top of other things. In February, several of the experts wrote online posts for American Heart Month, with each including a mini can of Coke or soda as a snack idea. The pieces, which appeared on nutrition blogs and other sites, including those of major newspapers, offer a window into the many ways food companies work behind the scenes to cast their products in positive light, often with the help of sellouts, third parties who are seen as trusted authorities. Of course. Now, but we're crazy, Marty. We're nuts, because, Coke, it'll take the corrosion off your battery terminals. And it's a good snack, too. That's right. Yeah. Make sure you get your Coke every day. Keeps you regular.
Yeah, a Coke a day keeps the doc away. That'll be the new one.
Oh, my gosh, man. And again, this all goes back to the dumbing down of not just America, but the world in general. Now, does that mean everybody? No. It's really up to the parents. It's up to the parents. Look, if you procreate, please, for the love of God, do your due diligence and teach your children the basic life skills necessary to function in this cruel-ass world. And it's cruel. If you don't know that by now, then you're living a very sheltered life. It's cruel as hell.
Make the most of it while we still can procreate. While they're carrying out all these 3-parent babies and stuff like this. We can't be that far away from these incubator factories that it was in The Brave New World by Huxley. That's the kind of thing we're aiming for here, Joe. And all of this stuff, you watch these reports. 1 week coffee's bad for you, the next week coffee's good for you. If you were to believe all of them, there'd be nothing left for us to eat or drink. And it was just recently that they've even said that all of these studies, kind of things that we're talking about here, there's actually too many of them for them to be printed in all of the scientific journals, which means that all the scientists who would be looking into these studies, they haven't got the time to actually digest the information.
It's interesting.
Joe, it's another symptom of the fact that this world, it's crazy. We were going over all the crazy stuff with Nano tonight, and we've just carried it on into this show. This is Wayne's World we're living in, man.
Well, and then I hear stupid crap like Gerald R. Crabtree of Stanford University, a biology professor, that says scientists are now discovering that our diminished intellectual capabilities are actually the consequence of natural processes. Look, if fluoridating water is considered a natural process, then we need to define better what natural processes really are. Because I don't buy it for a second. In 1912, one of the test questions in history, right? This is just a history test question. How many people do you think could name the last battle of the Civil War, the War of 1812, the French and Indian War, and the commanders in each battle?
Good luck with that.
Exactly. Or during what wars were the following battles fought? Brandywine, Great Meadows, Lundy's Lane, Antietam, Buena Vista. People couldn't tell you. You know why? They don't know. They're not taught history. They don't know this kind of stuff. How about this? Sketch briefly Sir Walter Raleigh. They're supposed to remember what the guy looks like. I'll bet you half the people don't even know who Sir Walter Raleigh is. But that's the problem. Is that, how about balancing a checkbook? Do they teach that in school anymore? No. Why? Online banking does it for you. You don't need to. How about cursive? Oh, no, we don't teach that anymore because everybody uses a smartphone or a computer, so we type it. But they don't tell you in their justification, because it's stupid, that all our founding documents are written in cursive. And if no one can read cursive, well, then I guess they can go carte blanche on, basically circumventing the rest of our founding documents because no one's going to know what it says. I mean, this is how crazy things have become. So should it surprise me that people are saying that the International Space Station doesn't exist or the world is flat? No, it doesn't surprise me at all. But at the same time, I have to challenge everybody, Kev, to please don't. If you believe something like that, let's discuss it in a maybe a debate or a private forum or something like that. Please don't embarrass yourself by putting out these idiotic YouTube videos and everything else that give the BBC and other mainstream media outlets hours and hours of sound bites and video to cherry pick from. Go ahead, Kev.
It was just a story, just all this talk. It made me think of a story I came across. It was back in January. And we all have our smartphones and we all use messaging services. And I'm sure we've all been guilty at one time or another of putting the text speak, as I call it. You type the letter U instead of typing the 3-letter word out. Saves you all of, half a second? Well, the Daily Telegraph was reporting that the boffins are saying that text messaging like that helps improve children's spelling skills. How in hell's name can that be improving a child's skills, Joe?
Say that one more time, just so I didn't miss that.
The use of textisms, as they're calling it here, can improve literacy among pupils by giving them extra exposure to word composition outside the school day, it was claimed. It says here that something like, see you later, and I'll spell that out, Charlie Uniform, Lima, the figure 8, Roger, or GR8 for great, can actually help with children's reading and writing. No way. I am not buying this.
You know what it does? It helps fuel the advancement of the vanity plate agenda here in the United States. The personalized license plate that I can't stand. When I see them, I can't stand the fact that we need license plates. But let alone you put a stupid saying on the back of it. That's the thing. And half the time, which is it just absolutely blows my mind. Half the time you don't even know what it means. Oh, God, have mercy on our souls, everybody. Well, hour number 1's done. Hour number 2 on the way. Johnny King's going to join us. So is Popeye. He's going to come on. We're going to talk about all this crazy crap. Oh, my gosh. Stay tuned, folks. You're not going to want to miss this.
Fighting for humanity and against globalism. One mind at a time. It's the Freedom Link with Joe Joseph.
Yes, it's hour number 2 of the Freedom Link right here on Truth Frequency Radio. Truth Frequency Radio. Joe Joseph. And Kev Baker had to shoot, and I really do appreciate him coming on. And I hope he doesn't encourage the people that have so far chimed in a way that absolutely makes my mind melt, and not in a good way either. And then Marty, he decided to join to stay for hour number 2 for a little bit, and then Popeye, who is a avid woodshedder like myself, has decided to join the foray, and Johnny King is here too. So we'll get some fresh perspective on things. First of all, I gotta throw a little shout out to my man, Thomas Hogue on Facebook, because he even chimed in on this. And he says, I got a hypothesis for you. We are in the inner earth, and go. Because, are you kidding me? Now, Popeye, you may not have heard what was going on, but basically Kev put this video up today. about somebody put up said that the International Space Station does not exist. It's a hoax. And
I saw the video on Facebook, but I saw the link. I didn't actually see the video. I saw the post.
I mean, you really do.
What's the premise of it? Like,
well, it's a complete fabrication. You see, it's a Freemasonic hoax that is supposed to deceive us into thinking that the Earth is round and that there's satellites and stuff in the sky. And he goes.
Oh, so is this part of the flat Earth thing?
Yes, it's an hour. It's an hour long. He spends an hour breaking this down. Now, I could only get through the first 2 minutes, and everybody's going to say, "Well, you didn't watch the whole hour." Well, if you did, then may God have mercy on your soul, because there's problems if you got through that whole thing. That's all I'm going to say. Holy crap.
Look, I'm all about discovering the truth about things.
Me too.
I've talked to you about Hollow Earth and Admiral Byrd, and
sure.
they couldn't have thought that guy was so crazy. They sent him out for a second expedition.
Right.
Okay, so something was up. But the idea of a flat Earth, I don't think so.
Oh.
Okay. I think we've all seen the proof that the Earth is round. Anyone ever been in a jet at 30,000 feet and looked out the window? I don't know. You could see the curvature of the Earth from 30,000 feet. It's not hard to understand that the Earth is a globe.
Okay, but then it gets better, right? So then some of the commenters started chiming in. Some of them, really good. Some of them, I'm offended that you take up oxygen. I mean, these are valuable resources that people that actually use their brain cells need to survive. And then I see this. Satellites are a hoax. I mean, what? It's unbelievable. Satellites are a hoax. And then my friend Tom Hogue, he comes in. Yes, actually, we're in the inner Earth. Yes, that's exactly what it is. You know? And that's what I get. Yeah. Well, then show me satellites then.
This is the reason why.
Telescope.
This is the reason why. Like people that actually do research and talk about real things, like the secret space program and things like that. That's why we get looked at and laughed at and pointed at. Oh, you guys are crazy conspiratards, because there are people who will find conspiracies in everything, and everything is connected to the Illuminati. And I'm going to piss people off by saying this, because they're like, but Popeye, you talk about the Illuminati. Yeah, but not everything is an effing conspiracy, and not everything is perpetrated by the Illuminati or the Jews or whoever else you want to throw in there.
I knew the Jews had to come into it. John King, Mr. Science Guy himself, would you please, for the love of God, give me a scientific explanation on why the Earth is not flat, please?
Well, I can tell you, have you ever seen the opening credits for the original Star Trek?
Of course I did, dude. Who hasn't?
Well, that's how they do the International Space Station. They put a big sheet of photo paper on the table, and then what they do is they take a picture of the International Space Station on this photo paper.
Oh, boy. Thank you, John King. You're encouraging them, John. You're encouraging them. Don't do that.
Yes, I know I am.
You bastard.
I'm bad.
Did you go to...
Yes, I agree with Popeye. Spend a few bucks, go up on a plane, see the Earth is curved. I mean, look at the moon. Look at the moon in the daytime, especially now.
It's fake. That's a fake moon.
Blue beam.
That's a fake moon.
You don't understand, but blue beam technology has existed for at least, I think the ancient Sumerians actually developed blue beam.
Do you know where Project Blue Beam comes from? Does anybody actually know where it comes from? The whole release of the information. Does anybody actually know?
Go ahead, please regale us with that. And
that goes back to, and I think it was, I want to say it was either I think he was a European journalist, if I remember correctly, that came out. I think it was in the late 90s. Came out with, or supposedly released the information about that the whole plan, like the plan that they're gonna fake, a Messiah coming or an alien invasion and all this by projecting it. Well, that whole story from start to finish came out from one individual, in the '90s, and you can trace it back to I can't remember exactly where in Europe, but I remember he was a European journalist, and it was very it's very hard to find anything else on it other than without it leading back to that, and that's where it stops every time. So I'm not saying I talk about Bluebeam. I'm not saying it doesn't exist.
Right,
I'm not saying they don't have the capabilities, but when you research this stuff, people run around and they'll be like, well, obviously it's Project Bluebeam. Really? Obviously? Really? Tell me how Bluebeam works. Tell me. Do you know how it's funded and how it works? Oh, you saw a YouTube video. Oh, aside from the YouTube video that's based off of information that dates back to the 90s, can you tell me now in 2015 how Bluebeam works, where it is, and give me some sort of information about the technology at all?
Oh, wait a minute.
You can't.
Marty, who was it that came out with that, with the whole Bluebeam investigation?
Well, that was Serge Monast. He was an investigative journalist, poet, and conspiracy theorist, and he was actually known for the Project Bluebeam conspiracy, according to Wikipedia. The guy was actually over in Canada and passed away in 1996. So, yeah, old stuff.
Talk to him.
So there he was. He was, he was. I thought he was European. He was Canadian. Thank you, Marty.
Yeah,
but and don't take everything that in Wikipedia as because anybody can
post to it, right?
But I'm not poo-pooing Bluebeam. But what I'm saying is, I totally believe that the idea and concept of it is real. No problem. I have no problem believing it. Look at the other technology they have. I mean, CERN. They're trying to open interdimensional portals.
Oh,
I don't think projecting a hologram is beyond their technical capabilities.
Of course not.
They brought Tupac back over at what's it called? Coachella.
Yeah, like Michael Jackson in Vegas.
Yeah, they had him dancing around, and it was a 3D real hologram. Like if you would have looked at it, you would have been like, "Wow, that thing looks real." I mean, the news did it a couple years ago on CNN, where they had Wolf Blitzer. I think it was on one of the election nights, and they had him inside the studio, a holographic image of him, and that one of the other anchors was walking around talking to him, and he wasn't really there. It was just a holographic image, but they were interacting with it, and you could see it. Like the cameras, you can actually see it on the cameras. They did this already. So that doesn't the possibility. It's not out of the realm of possibility for me. But you can't run around and immediately be like, "It's Bluebeam." You don't know that, and that's what makes us sound like a-holes.
Yeah,
seriously.
And then of course I hope I don't butcher this too much, but then you have like people at the BBC. Oh, I'm tasked with coming up with a hit piece on the independent media.
Does nobody see the irony in it? A group of people who didn't investigate Jimmy Savile and expose all the scumbaggery and all the other people connected to that shitbag, right? And all the evil things they did to those little kids, and are still doing. By the way, don't think that's stopped. Oh, that's over, Popeye.
No, of course not.
They exposed it. Bullshit.
But look at the hours of footage and the audio clips that they get.
But don't pay that any mind. Instead, let's do a hit piece on the conspiracy theorists who released the information. And by the way, I guess they're not conspiracy theorists. They're conspiracy factualists because they exposed it. Oh, and then David Cameron comes out. Oh, the idea of a cover-up, that's a conspiracy theory. Screw you, Cameron. You're a kid toucher, too. All of them should be rounded up and put into a wood chipper in front of everyone, air it on live TV, and explain to people, this is what happens, this is what you do to Satanists and scumbags that touch children.
But what they'll do is, like, for example, they may take, like, a sound clip of Kev calling out the kitty fiddlers in Parliament. And then, right after that, they'll pan over to the International Space Station's a hoax, and they'll tie him to that and totally discredit him. Because you have to remember, the people that watch that crap, they don't think for themselves.
Well, because that whole thing is set up. The whole thing is a logical fallacy from start to finish.
Right.
It's a straw man argument. They're building the straw man argument instead of taking because they're getting criticized. Hey, how come you guys didn't investigate Savile? Which is a really good question. How come you guys didn't expose this? Why did everybody look the other way? Obviously, people must have known about this. So it wasn't like it was a huge secret no one knew. So how come you guys didn't investigate it? What's the deal with that? You know what they do? They turn around and go, yo, you conspiracy theorists, we're going to expose you and prove how crazy you are. Look, you think the International Space Station is fake. Well, hold on. That's one individual who's got that belief. That's not me, and that's a straw man argument. You're trying to veer away from the original argument. They're trying to build an argument that's easily defeated. Oh, look, these guys are crazy. They think the International Space Station is not real and that the Earth is flat. Ha 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 ha.
Well, let me throw this out, okay? Because one of my favorite writers on Lou Rockwell is the Bionic Mosquito, and let me just say, they hit a home run today. This is what it said. Okay, this is about Jen Psaki from the State Department, who came out and said this when it was talking about the recent attempted changes in Venezuela, right? Quote, as a matter of long-standing policy, the United States does not support political transitions by non-constitutional means. And then immediately after, one of the reporters is like, what? Now, what's even more amazing than the fact that the authorities remain so willing to publicly spout such easily disprovable propaganda is a reaction once she realized she'd been caught. She backpedaled and squirmed, but the most disturbing thing is you can see a subtle smirk come across her face. So Jan got caught and lost her bet. Now, Bionic Mosquito gives a backstory. Says these types of stories are concocted over a few among laughing jovial colleagues in the bowel of some government building. They make bets on seeing who can come up with the wildest, most ludicrous story and not get called on it. The winner is the one whose story results in the biggest increase to departmental budgets. And the bigger the bigger the increase. So Jan lost her bet, but many others did not. And I'm going to give you some examples. Ready? Quote, we will tell them that Building 7 collapsed because of furniture on fire. There's one. How about this one? Ready? Quote, the passports of one of the hijackers was found a few blocks from where the plane crashed into the tower. Yeah. Or how about this? This is a good one. Let's tell him that we dumped his body into the ocean out of respect for Muslim tradition. I mean, come on. Every story gets debated and discussed before it's taken public. There are bonus points given to any colleague who adds an approved embellishment. For example, let's have some news reporter first report that Building 7 collapsed before it actually collapses. Or how about 911? It would be really funny to have the incident on that date. You get the idea, right? I mean, that's the way it is.
Well, our own Photoshop assassin, Mr. Scott Lopez, and his mom found a video of Diane Frankenstein-Feinstein talking to CNN's Dana Bash the other day, telling her what to say on her cell phone. It was on TiVo or whatever. She was watching something that she had recorded on the DVR, and they cut to Dana Bash. CNN cut to Dana Bash a little bit too quick, and she was talking with what's her name? Diane Frankenstein. By the way, that woman's huge.
Ooh,
I didn't realize how tall she was till I saw her standing next to Dana Bash, and I was like, oh my God, she's like Bigfoot. Anyway, she's sitting there. Now, again, credit to Mrs. Pujo for catching this. You see, they cut, like CNN cut to her, and they cut to her too soon, and for like 2 seconds, you see Frankenstein leaning over, telling her what to ask her and what to say, and you hear it, and then she goes, "Oh, and we're live with Senator Feinstein."
Ugh.
You can literally see it. It's only like 2-3 seconds, but you hear, and you can clearly hear Diane Feinstein coaching her and telling her, "Tell me this, say this, and say this." And then all of a sudden Dana realizes the producer must have said, "You're live, you're on air." And she's like, "Hi, this is Dana Bash. We're live here with Senator Diane Feinstein."
It's unbelievable, man. And yet, here in the United States, guys, there's absolutely no outrage. Marty, I mean, I just saw this article, Marty, about these riots in Frankfurt, these violent clashes that are going on between anti-capitalist protesters and the German police because of anti-austerity. You know, they're protesting the austerity measures that the German government's actually talking about, and the European Central Bank. And even in the UK, I've seen instances where people get pissed off and they protest. But here in the United States, we don't get that. Like today, we had Marty, and I got to get your thoughts on this. The Border Patrol, they're being punished if they round up and report large groups of illegals. I mean, what the hell? Our government is holding people accountable for doing their job, and not in a good way. Not like, hey, man, here's a bonus for doing your job, right? No. This is how it is, you know? It's all corruption. But at least over there, you get a little more passion about it. I mean, is that your thoughts about the UK? Do you see it as people are a little more plugged in than they are here in the US, or is it about the same?
Truthfully, I'd say it's about the same, to be honest. There does seem to be a growing collective of people that are more awake to the ideas of corruption from the government and some shenanigans going on. But no, I'm sorry, I do see a lot of people still very much asleep here in the UK. Although we do see the protests for austerity and stuff like that, it just seems that it seems to be a lot of the younger kids and stuff just wanting to get out and cause a bit of trouble. And I don't mean that in any disrespect to any of the genuine protests that have happened, but the stuff that we've seen on RT and Rupley over the last couple of months of the stuff going on with the students down in London has just been total crap. They've just been going, smashing the place up and causing trouble. And probably a couple of provocateurs in there. Yeah, you know, that sort of stuff going on. But in general, it doesn't seem to achieve anything, and I don't know what else we can do. But really, I mean, I didn't realise, Joe, that there wasn't much of a thing for protests over in the States. Oh.
It's a big, fat... Because, you know, we had like our little time in the sun with the Occupy movement that went...
No, the Occupy, see, that was controlled opposition.
Of course it was controlled opposition.
That was also, that was a psyop.
Yeah, that's George Soros.
Right, but now that's turned people largely off against protesting.
Exactly.
Because how many times was it televised that if you protest in this country, you'll get your face beaten by the NYPD?
Oh, you're right about that. Johnny King, I mean, you know for a fact firsthand there's no justice. You know?
Oh, absolutely not. Not in the courts around here, and I don't think there's any justice in the courts around the nation. I mean, it has become a giant money game. They don't care one way or another. They're going to get their money.
Now, Popeye, I got to ask you, since you weren't here for hour number one, there is a couple of I want to rattle off some college courses, and I want to know if you would pay this for your son or daughter for this course. What if Harry Potter is real? That's a university course.
Fired.
Okay.
That's my answer. That refers to everyone at the college.
Yeah.
Go on.
Lady Gaga and the Sociology of Fame.
I heard about that one.
Okay. Philosophy and Star Trek. That's got some in. At least it's Star Trek.
Okay. Yeah. Philosophy. Okay, fine. But like, I know what. But do you understand like like what the philosophy of Star Trek was?
Collectivism?
One world government.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, it would have been nice to be able to all sing Kumbaya together and get along and, you know, have that, yeah.
Well, honestly, that's the only way we're going to explore space the way we should, is that everybody has to learn how to, you know, play nice and get along. And I'm totally down with that. I just don't really agree with I think right now we're not ready for that. We have to mentally grow up, which is what we're doing, before we can get to that point. Otherwise, you're going to have some tyrannical schmuck that wants to take over and rule everything because I know better than you. Well, I'm a senator or a president.
But we're not done yet. How about learning from YouTube?
Well, you can just do that on your own. You really don't need a college course.
Exactly. I didn't. How about...
Here's how you learn from YouTube. YouTube.com, enter.
How about how to watch television?
How about how'd you stick your head in the microwave and hit the on button?
Please, for the love of God, do us all a favor. Right.
I wonder. Most of the kids that take these courses probably don't need them. They're taking them because they need the credits to graduate. So
probably so.
but think about that concept for how much of a waste of money is that?
Oh, that's what I'm saying.
You're not going to school to learn. You're going to school to achieve credits, and I'm doing air quotes, so that you can add up a certain amount of these credits and graduate. But what's behind that piece of paper? What level of knowledge is actually behind that piece of paper? Nothing but indoctrination of whatever that professor or that institution wants you to believe in, because that's what they do at most of these universities and colleges now. And you know what? If you want to see a real movie about the colleges, and this isn't like it has nothing to do with the Illuminati. It has everything to do with the economy, loans, money, banking, and who really makes out on all of this. Go watch The College Conspiracy. I have a friend of mine who he was putting himself through college, and he saw the documentary. He quit. And he immediately went to work in the field that he was going to college for. Okay? He now makes a little over $100,000 a year. He has no problems doing what he's doing. And you know what he doesn't have? An ass load of student debt. That's what he doesn't have.
Let me bring up some other ones. How about this one? This is in the category of literature and language. Thanks, Marty. Arguing with Judge Judy. Popular logic on TV judge shows.
What?
Oh, yeah. That was taught at UC Berkeley.
That doesn't surprise me.
Okay.
Enough said. All you got to do is say where it was. Actually, you should, after you say each course, you should say where it was taught.
Okay, here you go.
Fitting.
I've got another one there, Joe, from Berkeley, and that is The Simpsons and Philosophy.
Ooh, yes. Let's talk about the shape and the poetic significance of the donut.
Here's a good one. Learning from YouTube.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. How about this? Elvish, the language of Lord of the Rings. Yes, taught by the University of Wisconsin. Yeah. How about this? Mail order brides. Understanding the Philippines in a Southeast Asian context. That's taught by Johns Hopkins University. What?
Wow, let's not focus on like curing cancer while you're here.
Or how about this?
Let's focus.
Mount Holyoke College. This is a Seven Sisters school, an Ivy League school. Whiteness, the other side of racism. What? Or University of Rochester, alien sex.
Look, I'm just going to throw out the obvious here, okay? Obviously, these courses are... Anybody with half a brain would look at this and go, how is society benefiting from this? They're not.
Oh, Jesus, have mercy.
They're not.
The strategy of StarCraft.
University of New York, Buffalo. Cyber porn and society. Where do I sign up for that one?
I figured you'd key right in on that one.
John's teaching the class. John's like, I'm the professor.
Yeah,
I'm giving the course.
How about street fighting mathematics at MIT?
What?
Yeah. While math and street fighting aren't two things that logically fall together, this course shows students that there is a way to analyze fighting through a mathematical pattern, something that might get you beat up in the first place.
Right, so the guy can get his ass handed to him as he's getting his ass handed to him. He's like, well, I could take the 3, carry it over to the 9. Oh!
Exactly. We'll be right back. Final segment coming up. Holy Mary, Mother of God. Let me tell you something, folks. I mean, this has just been... it's kind of eye-opening for me. I never in a million years thought that it was this bad. But when you have classes taught at Princeton University called Getting Dressed, they should have a companion class to that called The Culling. Because that's what we need. Maybe the Illuminati has it right. Maybe we do need a cut. John King, help me out. Or don't.
Well, hey, like I was telling you earlier, dude, I said maybe the human gene pool does need a little bit of fresh water added to it.
Holy shnikes. Are you serious? Or as Marty pointed out, tree climbing. Tree climbing. Because here it is. Ready? Students who never learned to climb a tree as a child can now receive college-level education in the subject through this course at Cornell University. Holy mackerel. That's all I have to say.
Tree climbing.
Tree climbing and getting dressed.
If you need a course in how to get dressed by the time you're in college, something's wrong. Your parents failed you miserably. Getting dressed should have been like one of the first things they taught you. Okay?
I mean, what? So anyway, what's the moral of the story here? The moral of the story is, please, if you decide to procreate, do your due diligence and prepare your son or daughter for life. Because as we're coming to find out, especially my generation, it ain't all that it's cracked up to be. As a matter of fact, that nice, beautiful, white picket fence lifestyle that my parents and my grandparents enjoyed is no longer there. It was a farce. It was a hiccup. It was like a burp on the timeline of history. You know? And now, my generation and subsequent generations are stuck in this mess trying to dig ourselves of the hole that was put there by our parents and grandparents who stuck their heads in the sand while the bankers and our governments just gang raped and pillaged us. And it's just unbelievable. I'm dying here. Oh.
This is all being done on purpose. If you look up Charlotte Thompson Iserby, and
I love that woman.
I know, so do I. Charlotte's actually a very, very good, close person.
Charlotte is just, I'll tell you what, man.
She's an awesome lady.
She just says it like it is.
Mm-hmm.
And good for her. And if you haven't read her book, The Dumbing Down of America, even if
deliberate,
check it out. There's some good stuff. They do it there too.
DeliberateDumbingDown.com.
Yeah.
That's her website, DeliberateDumbingDown.com. Order her book and read it. I've interviewed her multiple times. Go in my archives and listen to the shows. In fact, I have another one coming up with her that I did off air. And she hits the nail on the head. I mean, she's exposed over the years, as others have, but with her research because of who her father was in Skull and Bones, and so was her grandfather.
Right.
And she actually released one of the membership books. That's how a lot of that information got out there, was because of her and Anthony Sutton years ago. And anyway, I suggest you go read her book and listen to the interviews I've done with her. She's just an amazingly intelligent woman, and she explains how all of this, what you see, all these college courses, this is all part of a much larger agenda. Okay? This is all, even the people teaching them are just useful idiots. They don't even realize, it's all compartmentalization. They don't even realize what they're being used for. But at the higher ups, the people at the very top of this understand what's going on. It's being used to dumb down society. Literally. And it's not just college, Joe. It's high school, too.
No, of course it is.
There's schools now that are teaching this crap like that Lady Gaga course.
No, please. You didn't
I'm not kidding. There are high schools.
To bring it back up, though. Ow. I mean,
what educator?
No, it was Billy Madison, remember? We are all now dumber.
For having heard you say that. Exactly.
Yeah. That's how I feel. It's like, holy smokes, man. As if we don't have a hard enough time.
But now Billy Madison is the professor.
Exactly.
The professor that was like, wow, you are stupid, shut your face. Like, he's gone, and now you have Billy Madison as the professor.
That's right.
That's great.
Yeah, it's moldable and controllable. You know, the Reese Committee found out the agenda, way back in the 50s. And, of course, just like every other committee, like the Church Committee that was investigating Operation Mockingbird, got the rug pulled out from underneath it. Well, so did the Reese Committee, and Congressman Reese was even poisoned. Here he is in the hospital, his stomach's bleeding. Oh, can't figure out why that is. Eventually ends up dying. Take a look at the McCormick-Dickstein Committee. Rug pulled out of it. Every time something good actually comes on when it comes to investigating this stuff.
Look up Congressman Louis McFadden.
Yeah, McFadden. Same thing.
He was fighting the Federal Reserve, And he was exposing him for what was going on, and he was like, "I will not stand for it." And he was actually doing what he was supposed to do. Yeah, he died after they attempted to kill him multiple times. They finally poisoned him too.
Exactly. Exactly. It's amazing. And so what happens? Because I still have, I don't know, a shred of faith. Well, at least the people around me. Thank God, we can talk about this stuff and do the research and do our due diligence and expose a lot of this criminality, this rampant criminality against humanity, and actually make some headway too. I mean, look at KBS's exposure of the pedophilia stuff. I mean, you guys were really integral in putting that stuff out there, Marty. That's important. That's extremely important. But what happens is now you're going to get attacked and you're going to get lumped in with crisis ISS. And these asshats that put out this garbage, this rubbish. It's unbelievable.
Especially when you see people queuing up to see movies like Dumb and Dumber. It really does show the mentality of people. Thanks to Penelope for that one in the chat room there. But yeah, people are just so dumbed down and programmed by the system that we're in. But I do see some light at the end of the tunnel, because there does seem to be a growing collective of people more open to the idea of this stuff going on that I have seen over the last 8 years.
They do say that it only takes a generation. It only took them a generation to truly dumb people down. I agree. It doesn't take long. Well, to reverse it doesn't take long either. I'm going to give you an example. And this was a study done as far as homeschooling versus public schooling. So what happened is they took a group of children and they kept them out of school till the 6th grade. Didn't give them any schooling at all. And just 6th grade, they slammed them into school with the other students. Within 6 months, those students had caught up to the students that were in there from kindergarten to 6th, and even some of them exceeded them. So my point is we all subscribe and find credible to some extent societal standards. And all I have to say to that is to hell with societal standards. I am so sick of hearing, oh, it's for the common good, or it's, well, everybody else is doing it. Well, I went to public school and look at me now. Well, let me tell you, it ain't the same as it used to be. It's not the same as it used to be. Go ahead, Popeye.
Usually my answer is to that.
Go ahead.
When someone says, oh, look at me now. Look how I turned out. I'm like, yeah, you're an asshole. So I don't want my kid to be like you. I want my kid to be a better human being. The problem is we need to leave a better planet for our children. How about we leave better children for the planet?
Yeah. And in turn, the planet will be better.
Right, yeah. See, maybe if we bred better stewards of the planet.
Ooh, okay? Don't say that. They don't even know what steward means.
Oh, I know. Dude, if you go, I'm dropping the links in the chat to my shows with Charlotte. I'll find the link. It's on one of the shows I did. Remember that test? We read it on air? The test from Kenny Hignite?
Sure.
It was a test from and it was what? I think it was an 8th grade test from the 1950s. We, as adults, were having problems. We knew most of the answers, but we were still having problems as adults. We were like, damn, this thing's hard. It was like an 8th grade test from the 50s. They don't do that anymore. I'll find the link. I'm dropping links in the chat room to my interviews with Charlotte, so I'll find that link so I can drop the PDF in there. But if you Google, if you Google right now, go on Google, look up Kenny Hignite 1950s test, and the PDF link should pop up. But I'm going to try to find it in one of the interviews I did with her as we're chatting here, so I can drop it in the chat.
Johnny King, your thoughts since you've been eerily silent.
What's your question?
Well, on this whole dumbing down thing. Stewardship. Why? Why is it that parents don't take more of a active approach in their child's life and an active interest in the education?
Well, from what I can see, both parents are usually too busy. They're working, trying to keep the house together and make ends meet. And they're trusting the school and the state to take care of their children. And that's exactly what's going on. They're using the schools as actual babysitters. That's why they're coming out and saying that your children are our children.
So let me ask you this then. Why blindly trust a government that has repeatedly lied to us how many times over the course of our history? Why do we do that?
Dude, my government can't even deliver my mail correctly. I'm not going to trust them to educate my child.
Well, I mean, it's just unbelievable how here you have a government that openly lies to you about the Gulf of Tonkin incident and other, quote, false flags, yet we must trust the government because they have our peace and safety at heart as they're spraying chemical agents over the population to test future weapons of warfare.
Well, all I got to say is the people that are running the internet, right, are the same. We gave the people that couldn't make the Obamacare website complete by the time it was supposed to launch. We just gave them control over the internet. Well done. Well done. Cheers. Cheers, America. Cheers.
Yeah.
Go back to, like Bill Hicks used to say, go back to sleep, America. Go back to sleep. Go watch American Gladiators.
Yeah. And then this leads me to my next question that I'll pose to all you guys. Do you think that the dumbing down has anything to do and coincide with the transhumanist movement and their ability to advance it with little to no pushback? What do you think?
Well, some of it's dumbing down. It's how it's presented. You know,
some people can't even. They don't transhuman. What the hell does that mean?
I think one of the ways they do that, their little trickery, and it's not, I know from research, they manipulate the psyche of the individual and society as a whole, right? So when you see movies like Terminator and stuff, they exercise your biggest fears about that type of event or that type of like technology on the big screen. So you've already faced your fear to a certain extent, and it still might be scary to you or whatnot, but you've faced it and lived it, and they understand that when you and experiencing like facing your fears in real life is different, okay? But you will experience once you face them, and it's like anything. The first time, the anxiety of doing something up until you do it for the first time is there, and then usually it's a little bit more relaxed. Well, it's the same thing. If they show you the scariest part of the technology, right, like Terminator robots, but it's in a controlled situation, like a moving picture where it really can't hurt you, and it can only affect your psyche, it can't affect you physically, then you work out in your brain all of the evil that could go on, and that anxiety ends up going away, and now you're more relaxed with the idea, and you're more chill.
John King, you're more chill these days. Maybe it's working on you too.
Oh, yes. It's working real well. I'm drinking straight fluoride now, Joe. The hell with water. I'm drinking liquid
Do you remember fluoride pills? Getting them in school?
I used to trade my chocolate milk for the guy sitting next to me.
Wait. Now, that doesn't surprise me at all, but let's just hear that one more time. Go ahead.
I would trade my chocolate milk for the guy sitting next to me, his fluoride pill. And we had fluoride in the water in the small town where I grew up. So I got myself a double dose of fluoride almost every day.
Yeah. They used to hand it out in class. First it started.
They still do.
They
still do. My niece got a paper sent home every year with permission from the parent. They hand out little fluoride pills. They're about the size of a baby aspirin.
To quote Michael Badnarik, you bring your fluoride pill or your vaccine needle, and I'll bring my 357. He said 45, but I'll bring my 357 with hollow points, and I'll see which one makes a bigger hole. You come near my child with a vaccine needle, a fluoride pill, or anything else, I will put you in the ground. End of story.
But I just got to know. I mean, if your teeth are not absorbing the fluoride, and instead you're ingesting it, how does that benefit your teeth? Just trying here. I don't know.
I don't know. I moved out in the country, got a well, and lost all my teeth. So don't ask me.
Oh, I don't know. I too have a well, but I have not lost my teeth. And I'll tell you this: if it's a pharmaceutical, let's just call it that. On top of being industrial waste, the type that they actually put in the water and everything else, it's a pharmaceutical. And second, why would you just blindly say, "Oh yeah, well it's in toothpaste, so it must be good for my child," without doing any sort of research into it?
Without even reading the warning label.
Yeah, I was going to say, if go to your medicine cabinet, pick up your tube of toothpaste, flip it over, and read the back. It says, "Do not swallow. If swallow, call the Poison Control Center."
Yeah, then a pea-size amount, and if you do, contact Poison Control. A pea-size amount of your toothpaste. It says it right on the tube.
You know, there's enough. I think that they did a test on this, and if I remember correctly, it was either like a tube or a tube and a half of toothpaste has enough fluoride in it to kill you.
I don't know, because I saw
they're putting it in infant formula for the development of strong teeth.
Now listen to this,
dude. I've had it out with dentists about this. Okay, and my favorite, you know what they say to me? Oh, let me guess. You read it on a website on the internet. You can't believe everything you read on the internet. I'm like, you can't believe everything that I'm like, you can't believe everything the American Dental Association tells you either.
But guys, it is banana flavor.
Yummy. Yum, yum, yum.
Well, you know what? Marty just sold me. That's it. I'm going to go buy 5 gallons of banana-flavored fluoride tomorrow. Thank you, Marty.
I mean, it's unbelievable, you know. That's my thing, you know. Whether it's vaccines, whether it's fluoride, whether it's Ritz crackers, if you should always research and read what is in the things you're throwing in your body, because I don't know what it's going to take to show that if you don't do it yourself, chances are you can't trust it. I mean, it's just the way it is. 9 times out of 10, people will take advantage of you to make a profit or advance an agenda. It's that simple. I mean, that's human history. It's like people know and take full advantage of human naivety. At least that's...
Do you know the number one killer of people in the world? It's not homicide.
Cigarette.
It's not suicide. It's not disease. Do you know what the number one killer of human beings in the world is?
Cancer.
Democide.
Democide.
You know what democide is?
Help me out here.
Death by government, meaning the government is responsible. Yes. Democide.
Penelope said in the chat room, stupidity.
That's number 2.
That's a close second.
Followed closely by stupidity. Yes, democide. Yeah. The government killing you. Death by government. And that doesn't mean, that can mean everything from them doing some stupid law or something that could, result in people starving to death, or the SWAT teaming of you and your family. It could be, and everything in between.
Okay, let me give you an example. California. Democide? What's your thoughts?
Go watch my documentary.
I was kind of leading you on there. Go ahead. What do you think?
That's what I did my show about yesterday.
Brief synopsis.
Well, the weather is being manipulated on purpose to at the very least make the drought worse, if not do the whole thing in and of itself. I think it's not just the non-rain. It not raining is a huge issue. Not enough snowfall in the snowpack up north is a huge issue. And that goes in with the geoengineering. But then you also have on the ground, like the bureaucrats and the politicians and stuff, who just stick their head in the sand and won't tell people. They'd rather have green lawns than grow food. Like,
let me ask you
right
something.
Now, they should tell people, your lawns are done, you're not watering your lawn anymore, and it's mandatory that you start growing gardens in your lawns. Period.
Let me ask you this. And this is just hypothetical. I'm throwing it out there. But what if it's being hyped? What if it's being hyped to gouge people on vegetables, to gouge people on acre feet of water?
It's not. I thought the same thing at first.
I'm just throwing it out
when I first started. No, I wouldn't. But when I first started looking into it, I thought the same thing. Well, maybe they're doing it to scare people, because that's quite often what they do. They scare people through fear and manipulation, or they manipulate people through scaring them by using fear, I should say. But this is not manipulation, Joe. California is in a world of hurt right now, and it's not. Right. Here's the problem: everybody thinks, well, it's only going to affect California. Wrong, Lies. Wrong, and wrong. Most of your fruits and vegetables that you eat come from California. So unless you start growing, and they're in
America, and look at that,
and they're in a drought too.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes you wonder. Kind of makes you wonder if they're causing this type of stuff on purpose. I mean, a worldwide drought could lead to food shortages and water shortages, which could definitely lead to human die-offs and disease. Who would want to kill a large segment of the population? And what did Kissinger say? You control the food, you control the world?
Yeah.
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 But I'm a conspiracy theorist because the evidence is there that they're actually doing this, and I think this has much larger implications. It's not just about California. Yes, there's the aspect of getting like investors like Soros and all these other people, because he's been buying up farmland for years, like the farmland that the Army Corps of Engineers flooded. Remember they flooded perfectly good farmland a couple years ago to save some crappy town that had like 50 residents in it. Even the residents were like, just flood the town out. It looked like a mini Detroit. It was just a waste of a town. And to save this town, they flooded out all this acreage of farmland, destroyed all these crops.
Because the insurance industry would have probably had to pay more, to cover the losses on the town.
Well, they also trade weather derivatives and weather futures on the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. And quite often, if it pays them more money for a crop to fail, and for them to lose the whole yield, they will. They don't care that there's people that are going to starve because that food. See, this is the problem. It's about making money. It's not about doing what's right for humanity. There's a huge difference. Okay, and unfortunately, the people that defend. Well, we need to do that. What are you, an anarchist? You're a socialist. You don't want capitalism. No. I think we need to get rid of all the ists and isms and put all that crap aside and sit back. And if we really want to survive as a species, I'm not kidding. If we want to survive as a species, we need to stop doing what we're doing, because the course that we're headed on is self-destruction. And I'm not trying to scare anybody. I'm telling you the straight truth. Okay?
No, it is what it is. I mean, obviously, humanity is headed for another train wreck.
Not yet, and we can stop it. We can pull our heads out of our collective rear ends, but we have to be willing to accept reality. Okay, and we have to be willing to face it. A lot of people are like, no. You can't have that attitude, because that's going to get you killed, and if you have children, it's going to get your kids killed too.
Well, apparently, the powers that shouldn't be find that they have little faith in us being able to turn the tide, as they're building all their underground little arboretums and all this kind of stuff, and fortresses and seed vaults and everything else, because probably they don't have much faith that we're going to turn things around. So they're just going to train wreck the whole thing. That's just basically my theory on it,
Well, I have faith in humanity. They don't. They also didn't have faith. They thought we were so stupid that they actually thought that by the year 2000, the world would be in their one world God. They're pissed. They're angry. Charlotte and I have talked about this. They're pissed because they're 14 years behind where they want to be. They're
Johnny
not
King
happy.
says that all the time. Right, Johnny? They had a goal.
Oh, yeah. They had a goal and they missed it. They reset the goal and they missed it. Popeye is exactly right. They are extremely angry. They got another goal. They want it done by 2022 now.
Oh, 2022. That's nice. Well, hopefully we'll foil them at that, too.
Well, that's why you see them going after the internet, Joe.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know. Hey, look, this is all part of the grand scheme. The thing that bothers me is that, and of course we're out of time, is that we're up against the clock. Because not only do we have their little plan that we're up against, but also the whole transhumanism thing. People are losing their humanity faster than at any point in history. And, this is a very big crisis, guys, and it's something that we have to continue to fight. There's just no doubt. As hopeless as it may feel at times, just got to keep on keeping on and trudging along, because, damn. it's not looking good right now.
When it comes to the food thing, like the California thing, really quick, I do on my show last night. I did the first hour. I spent convincing people to start growing your own gardens and stuff, and that's an answer. Look, you're not going to be able to stop. Things are going to change, so you're not going to be able to stop the change from coming. But we can mitigate any damage from it, and we can, you got to do my job in the military. I was a damage controlman. Okay, that's what you need to do. We need to do damage control and survive.
That's right. And smart people, please, all my listeners out there, procreate. For the love of God, have kids.
Yeah, don't make idiocracy.
Give me some hope. We're out of time. Rundown Live with Mike and Kristan coming up next. Have a good night, everybody. Take care. Remember, wherever you are, make it TFR.